Were very important.
They are. I appreciate it.
Because now we can go back and say,
At your fingertips.
and at the end of every council meeting, if anybody got anything approved, I'm going in and I'm putting it on here immediately, so I don't forget it.
That's easy to keep up with.
Mhm.
It's brilliant. We're good to go.
All right, we are 3, 2, 1. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I want to thank you for your time, and thank you for allowing me to expand this meeting a little bit beyond finance. Specifically today, rolling out some new communication initiatives we've been working on for the last month internally with the management team, just looking at and working together on. You'll see all of it in this coming up agenda and attachments. And this is all coming from with the help of my coach, Scott Staples, who's here. Thank you, Scott. I asked him to be here just to answer any questions you might have. Scott used this method over the years as the city manager, and so I've been joking with him about that. He, unlike Phil Jackson, Phil Jackson got Scotty and Michael and Shaq and Kobe. He doesn't have the talent to work with me, but I thought maybe a good illustration is Phil would bring that triangle offense wherever he went, and so this is kind of like that methodology that he's seen work that we've already began to really appreciate internally as as these things go through the departments and the management team. The information that now we're communicating better with each other. We're already seeing that. So with that, I want to, if you would, let's jump into this administrative policy. You see there the purpose is effective communication. Our goal here is full transparency with you, the council, and ultimately with the residents of Bryant. We want to see that their government is working, that we're providing excellent work, that as we serve them. We want to make sure when things come to you as a council that it's completed. You'll see there's two avenues, right? This number 2 there under the purpose, sharing useful information. So you'll see that there's a real intentional effort to give you information, okay? Lots of information. And then number 3, I would say, falls under this second category of asking you for action. So you'll see this very clear distinction when we're giving you information and we're asking you for action. Those two things, okay? And it's our goal to make sure we don't ask you for action until you have all the information. When it comes to you as council.
Rob's joining virtually.
Okay, awesome. Welcome, Rob. When it comes to you as a council, you know that it's been thoroughly vetted, and you will see that before you with these new communication tools. So we've got a management direction and legal review. If you'll look at, you can look in your packet here, request for legal services. What we want to do is make sure there's a very clear process as the management team has things they want to bring to you as a council, or things that they're the legal services that they need, there's a very clear process, okay? So they'll come to me, we'll talk about it, you know, we'll say, hey, this is clearly something that needs to be, Ashley needs to look at. And the goal here is just not to waste Ashley's time, make sure the stuff that we're bringing to her is stuff that we believe is eventually going to make it to council, or things that need to be looked at immediately. So you can see that request for legal services. It allows me to be able to see that everybody's looked at this, that the proper process has been followed. And you can kind of see some of the details here. This is an internal document. You won't see this on your agenda. Obviously, you can look at it if you want to, but it ensures that anything that makes it to the agenda, like I said, has been properly vetted.
Question.
Yes.
This is a foilable document.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All of this is foilable.
Second question, is this the avenue, if we had something to reach out to Ashley, you would prefer us to use this document?
Let me come back to that.
Okay.
Okay. Good question. Then section 3, impact review. One of the things you'll see is as we kind of talk about anything that comes before you. Yeah, I'm good. We're good. We're gonna do our due diligence to make sure we understand anything we bring before you. We've talked about how it impacts the residents, how, you know, the challenge, you know, the decision before you. Again, if we are going to ask you to act on something, we want to make sure you have as much information you have to know how this is going to affect the residents of Bryant. You'll see there there's an agenda item history sheet. You can see that in your packet. So what we'll do is, as we process those things, as the right process, it's been looked at by legal, it's been looked at by finance. The member of the management team that's bringing this item is going to fill this out, and it's going to have very detailed information where the money's coming from, who it impacts, the decision before you, and what we're asking you as a council to do. So this ensures that the staff work is done, right? On our end, what we're saying is this is ready for you. Nothing half-baked, nothing half-prepared. As much information as we can give you, you'll have this. And this will be on the agenda in front of an ordinance or a budget adjustment or whatever. You're going to have you'll have this. And that way, a resident is going to be able to pull up the agenda, and they're going to have a lot more information on that item than they've ever had before, okay? So this is going to be a major change. I think you're going to find really helpful. We've already found it very helpful, again, internally. I can look at it, finance can look at it, police can look at something, public works, and we can all see real quickly what this is about and what the action that we're asking council to take. So that's a big change. Obviously, all the agreements and contracts, again, go through the proper channels. You can see that. Even though it's an internal document, that request for legal services, make sure that anything that I sign or we're asking you to approve has been approved by legal. A lot of it, and in section 6, all of our commissions and committees, all of that information, you're gonna see that through. And let's hop over to section 9, which is a big new, the mayor's memorandum. So this will be something that it won't be part of your agenda as far as like in the packet, but it will be released to you and to the public the same time the agenda is published. And basically, you're gonna get a snapshot of what we've been doing for the last month, right? So you'll get a mayor's memorandum on Thursday. It's gonna tell you, all about, March. It's gonna have our meeting schedule that's coming up. It's gonna have, this is a council request status report. Let me come back to your question, John. This is where you would go as council for any kind of questions like legal, finance, is to send that to me and it gets added to this document, okay? That will be updated. And there's an example here. Jordan reached out about an issue back in March. And so, we looked into that. Tim's guys went out there. Right now, from what we see, this would be updated. What you'd see here is you'll see this Thursday. We think it's not a leak. It's a septic backup. All right. And so Tim talked to Doug, and Doug's looking at it. So you'll see all of that. Anything that council requests of our office, you're going to see when you ask for it, who it was assigned to, and where we are. And this is going to be updated so that you'll be able to.
Is there a place that we go to see that? Like it's
I'll be sending it. And there's also
a link?
and there's also a Google form if you would rather use that to submit any requests, and it just auto-populates into the spreadsheet. So when this meeting is over, I'll send you guys that spreadsheet in the Google form.
That way, you know, a resident comes to you with a concern, you've reached out, shows that you let us know, and then they call you, hey, whatever happened with that issue? You just go right here and look at it and you see the progress we've made, or if the progress hasn't been made, hey, you hadn't made progress on this.
So Chris,
You know,
Chris, this
get
is
to work.
Ron.
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me?
Say that again?
Can you hear me?
Barely, but go ahead.
What's going on? So if I call you or call a staff member, are they going to add the request to this form?
Yes, sir. That's the first thing they do.
Okay.
And if you can, I would love if you reached out to me or Jordan, to get this right.
To follow up to that, this Google Doc exists. Y'all want, rather than us adding it to that, you want us to reach out to you guys for y'all to add to it? Okay.
Or submit the Google
Or
form.
submit the Google form.
Okay.
So push them through y'all first.
You're right. Okay. Yes.
But if I call you, you're going to add it.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm sorry. Can you hear me better or not?
Yep,
Yes, sir.
there it is.
Okay. Yeah. So the problem is, like, if I'm driving around and somebody calls me, I'll usually turn around and call or text you guys immediately. So what you're telling me is a staff member will put this on this form.
I would just say, text me and I will put it on this form, or text Jordan and she will put it on this form. And then you will be able, and we'll assign it to a staff member, and you will be able to, whenever you get to your destination, check it out, that it's on there and it's being followed through with.
Okay, man.
Again, this will be part of the packet you receive every month as part of the mayor's memorandum. So you'll see everything updated.
But now, if we need to add an item, to stay the same, how do we do that?
Yeah, just reach out.
Okay.
We'll get it added.
I'm talking about in council meeting.
Okay, if you want to add an item, yes, reach out, let me know. What we'd really love to avoid is adding items after the agenda's been published. We're going to work really hard if it's going to have to be a real exception, okay? Last minute additions.
This says 2 Fridays before.
And then just below it, it says the Thursday before.
Those have been workshopped multiple times.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, yeah,
The
that,
final copies will be sent to everyone after.
Clarify John's question. A council member at any time, contacts the mayor's office, they get it on this report. Make
Yeah.
it simple. You can text, you can email or call Chris or Jordan. Their responsibility will be to add it to this list, to assign it to the appropriate department head. That's appropriate. And then you're on your way. And then it's updated as needed.
you were asking about an agenda item.
Well, I thought that's what Jack was asking about.
Okay.
Well, no, I was asking about if we have 12-inch main break 30 minutes before council, and we've got to do immediate action. I mean, this is kind of a different scenario, but we need to put that on there to get that updated, or,
I would like.
not that it's gonna happen, but I'm just saying.
He's speaking it into existence,
I
what's
would-
happening over there.
I would prefer as much as possible, again, because we're talking about full transparency, anything that we're working together on, I want on there so that the residents of Bryant can see this, that we're working together, we're getting things done for them.
The situation Jack is talking about is what I would call an emergency. If you have a sewer backup, it's not this council request status report.
It's worse.
You know? So if it were something so catastrophic that it required immediate council action, the mayor, even if the agenda had been completed, the mayor would bring that to council. If it had to be, extra money appropriated or something, or that's that's what I would call an emergency.
Right.
Exactly.
The council request status report is primarily intended to be to help council members so that, let's say Lisa runs into somebody at Kroger and, somebody says, well, Lisa, there's such and such a problem at such and such an address. The only thing Lisa has to do, or any council member, is make mayor's office aware of that. It gets on this report, and there's a method for tracking it, so that you as a council member are able to make sure that resident knows that it's not gonna go into a black hole, that there's actually gonna be follow-through. Your item does not come off this status report until the column where it says completion date. When it says done, then it drops off. But I've had things on council request status report, because of the nature of them, take months. It just depends upon the nature of the problem. And it's not intended for major capital projects. That's what the major project inventory, that he'll mention next is about, where projects that have already been budgeted, mechanism for council members to stay informed about what the status of that project is. And it's also available to the public on the website. So any resident can go to the website and it'll say major project inventory, and they'll see the updates. Because, you probably run into people is, what is the status of, A, B, C, or D? It puts the point is to make sure council members are in a good position to give a definitive answer to that
Right.
resident on major projects. Not something that you would see on the council request status report. We're talking about, you drive down the street and there's a big pothole at such and such. You want to make sure that the mayor's office is aware of that, so that situation can get taken care of quickly. Those kinds of things.
Public Works is more.
So let's say that a sewer main breaks.
Sewer
And this-
And it's, my experience is, I'm sorry, Tim, but.
Yeah, it's mostly public works.
On the major project inventory, just think about your budget. I would say, I'm just speculating, 80% or more of the projects are gonna, public works. Because that's where you're building things, you're fixing things, you're preparing things. You don't tend to have a lot of major, for example, you can have and you'll see this, I believe, the water master plan is a major project. Okay, it's a study, but it's a major project. You'll see that, I believe, on this report. Your wastewater master plan, your parks master plan, all of those things are not capital, and so mercifully, they're not capital projects for Tim to deal with, but they are major. So that's probably the 20% that's not capital in public works tends to be things like that. If you're doing a study of something, an IT study or something of that nature. But typically in a city, it's pretty heavily weighted on public works. So that's where the projects are.
And I'm sorry, one more question. So like stormwater complaint.
Yes,
So,
that would be council request status report.
okay. And then at some point when there's so like, I know there's pending stormwater projects on the website. So are those gonna be under major, or are they gonna stay under?
This issue you're talking about, is it called a major, you don't know yet?
To be determined. I mean, I think that,
Something we're working on.
Is it a particular area?
yes,
Well, I get it on the council request. There's
Okay.
nothing to lose.
Yeah.
There's everything to gain by making sure it's on that report, you know.
Okay.
Unless you already know that it's part of the budgeted capital project, that would be on the major project inventory.
And I think you'll begin to see more where things, what bucket to put things in as we work through this. So don't, yeah, on the front end, yeah, put it on there.
It's a work in progress. You'll end up tweaking it, Bill, if you want. My experience, you'll end up tweaking it. The mayor will, the mayor, Jordan, will, and the staff will experience it, and hopefully it'll run pretty smoothly.
I would imagine some of the stormwater ones will just develop onto.
Yeah.
and that's what, at what point do we?
Yeah.
And I guess that's part of what we'll work through in some of these workshops, is to move in some of those.
We can get into the weeds on the stormwater stuff, but when that master plan comes out, I bet you most of the projects you're thinking on are in that master plan.
Okay.
Good questions. All right, you'll get monthly department reports that they're all turning in. That'll be part of the mayor's memorandum, so you'll get a little snapshot from each department on what they've been doing the month before. Then the major project inventory, you can see that, in your packet. Again,
Did you talk about the agenda item?
yes, agenda item history sheet.
The purpose of this, and I hope this will be helpful, is that, this is where I've suggested to the management team, if you've had experience here and you've worked with council, you know what information they should have, they need to have to make a good policy decision, make a good decision on that action item. So I literally said to them, I want you to play like you're a council member and kind of test yourself as you're preparing this. Have I answered all the questions? This format just provides a structure based on experience in terms of is there a history to this item? If there is, let them, just remind the council member what the history is of this project or this item. What is your commentary? You can see it explains the kinds of things they need to include in that commentary. You can see funding certification. Joy will have already, and if Joy's signature on there, that certifies, as a council member, she has signed off on this as there is funding available for this item. The management staff review would be reviewed by the department head, then to the mayor, and then the rest of this. But it can be helpful in making sure that 5 days before your regular meeting, you've got everything in front of you. You've got 5 days to review it. Or if there's something missing, which there surely will be at some point, sometime on some issue, call the mayor and make the inquiry as to what question you've got. And another overriding purpose of this is the doctrine of no surprises.
Yeah.
So when you get to a regular meeting, in order to get the work done, get the job done, and get moving forward on whatever, on those items, you know as a council member that you've got answers to your questions. The sooner a staff knows what the questions are, obviously, the better for everybody.
Yeah, and that's a great point. As we roll this out and you have this information, you look at it and go, no, this isn't ready. Please let me know as soon as possible, because like I said, our goal is when we get to the council meeting, it's that we're there to take action. And if we aren't ready as a team to take action, then I'll pull that and let's workshop it. Let's, we'll go back to information phase. There needs to be more information and more work done. This isn't ready, and that's fine. We have no problem with that. What I don't want to happen is for something to be on the agenda, prepared, and we're for action, and we're not ready for action. And that's us as a team. I want to make sure our whole team is ready for action on council meetings. And so again, if we need to go back to information phase, fine. When it's ready, and you're ready to act on it, then we'll roll. But if it's not, just please reach out. It's not going to bother any of us at all. Pull back a little.
Sorry, I've got lots of questions. So I guess my next question would be, if the mayor's memorandum is coming out the Thursday when agendas drop, could we potentially have it before like this workshop so that these things could be talked about during the workshop?
We could. I'm open to whatever you all want to do. I've heard that, Tuesdays before council at noon, it may be tough for some. That's where I would lean, is if there's anything that we all need to discuss before council, let's workshop it. But timing of that and how the system you guys want to put in place is completely, I'm open to.
To me, it seems like that would be a good opportunity to have some discussion about some of the action items. I mean, if we're going to have action items, and it would create the ability to discuss them before.
And if we got to go through, we've got a history sheet, as we call it. All the information can be on there, as much as we can gather. If we don't have it, that we don't put it on the agenda, or.
Well, the sole purpose of it, the primary purpose is to do that, is to make certain that you've got everything on that document that is needed. And in 31 years as a city manager, I've never had a situation where an item had to be pulled for lack of information, ever. Because you have completed staff work before. Another distinction the mayor's talking about that he and I've discussed is a distinction between workshops to study an issue, which may require one or more study sessions. I've had situations where they call them study sessions or workshop agendas. Simply discussion to study an issue, and you've got lots of issues coming up with these master plans. It's like the Parks Master Plan. I mean, obviously it went through quite the process, and it should never see the light of day on a regular meeting agenda. And it's been years, right, this process. And so now you're finally getting to the point it's ready for action. So if there is an issue that needs to be studied, it should be, I would suggest, at a council workshop.
And so what you're asking is if we could have this everything that, because it's Tuesday now, we'll be releasing all this Thursday. We have all of that for this meeting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that if we're having these meetings as a workshop to kind of discuss some of these action items that are going to be presented on the agenda for the following, I mean, because that idea behind this workshop was to kind of talk, it was finances.
Right.
To talk through some of the things that were coming on the agenda
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, that, obviously, that
I just don't
puts our
want,
deadlines, which is fine. We'll work with it.
I just didn't know, I mean, 'cause I guess my concern would be that the mayor's memorandum comes on Thursday, and we've got until Tuesday to look through it and
Right,
everything.
right.
If there is something that we have questions about, that then we decide to workshop it, we're essentially bumping it for a whole month over a couple of days.
Mayor's memorandum is information only for the previous month. It's really telling you about March. So this document you get this Thursday, the first mayor's memorandum, will be informational only, nothing that requires council action. It's administrative. It's pure information. Monthly department reports.
Gotcha.
We'll just give you an update on, the police department for the month of March 2024. You'll get that every month. Fire department, every department. Information, we're trying to distinguish between information that the council may want to be aware of or should be aware of, in my opinion, as opposed to action or discussion items or issues that will require action by the city council.
Maybe that's where I misunderstood
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
So,
There's nothing,
The agenda item, history sheet will be part of the, agenda packet. But the mayor's memorandum will be a completely separate document
gotcha.
with all that information in there.
Okay.
separate packet.
And I guess I misunderstood. I guess I understood it as though the memorandum would contain those same documents, but it's not going to. Those
No.
are separate.
That's right.
Okay.
They'll be on the agenda.
And one of the comments, and I can't remember who made it when we started having these finance meetings, was one, the amount of time it takes for staff to put these meetings together and not let the council meeting be a rehash of finance, because there's not as many council members in attendance, there's not public in attendance. You know, not trying to create. I'm just thinking about the amount of work that you're talking about doing in this meeting. You don't want to rehash it into your public meeting. I mean, this is a public meeting too, but in your council meeting. I don't want to put a lot of burden on staff either. Got enough going on. You got Maine to take care of.
Well, yeah, right. It's actually been pretty useful, because once it goes through the whole thing and it gets to Chris, there isn't a whole lot of questions that've been answered for him, so,
You mean on these forms and stuff, or, oh, yeah, that's good.
yeah, it's been great
Yeah.
so far. It
One of the-
doesn't take long to do either, I mean.
No, I'm just thinking in terms of this meeting. You have a long protracted meeting in the middle of your day, giving up your lunch, maybe not, I don't know.
I think our goal is to make sure, if it's helpful to do that in this meeting, obviously, we're open to that. I think once you see, I'm anxious for you to see this, get this process under our belt, and then we'll say, okay, let's tweak it, like Scott was saying, to really fit what the intent.
This monthly report that Joy will now be doing as the finance director. My advice to her is, and I've worked with over at least 120 council members, and they want to know, the budget's been approved, okay, by council in December. They typically want to know, are we on track? Are there any deviations? And I said, well, what I would do in your monthly report is, first of all, make them aware of fund by fund, and briefly, if possible, everything is on track. I don't, as the finance director, I don't have any concerns or issues about where we are. Or, as I think in her first report, she'll identify, after the month of March, or during the month of March, any variations that she sees. And will, before the regular meeting, she will let you know, I have no concerns about this, or something else. The other issue, to think about is, when we talked to Joy, she was mentioning to me that you all received is it an 82-page 82 pages of detail. And then, but she said there is an executive summary. So, you know, you can imagine how many reports I've read over the years. And, I mean, I never, on a monthly basis, I would just sit down with department heads once a month for half a day and go through the previous month, the current month, but I did that as the CEO. That was my job, to avoid surprises. Because if there's something I needed to know, I want to make the council aware of it also. So you can get an executive summary that I think was part of this today. It's like 12 pages or 17 pages or something like that. A lot of it depends upon do council members actually read 82 pages every month?
Just saying.
But yeah, I think that's a great point in that as we go through this, that'll be big, your feedback. What do you want more of? What do you need less of? You know, what is really gonna get you prepared and for any action you need to take, and make sure you have all the information you need to communicate with residents and to make sure anything you've asked from us is being taken care of. So that'll be huge, your feedback on in this process as we go through this for, you know, the next several months. So please give us lots of feedback as we figure this out.
Hey, Chris, this is Rob.
Yeah.
I'd like to commend you guys for implementing this. It's something that's probably been needed for a while. But I also want to tell you the hardest part about something like this is maintaining it. So I hope that you have the fortitude and the processes down so you can maintain it, because I'd hate to get started on something like this and then we stop, because that would reflect poorly on our city. So I'm just optimistic that you guys can make this work, and I hope it works out well.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. I mean, this is a priority and will continue to be a priority. Communication.
Congratulations.
So, thank you for that.
What level of detail, what the financial detail on this? Do all of you read the 82 pages?
Don't read all 82.
If there's something specific I'm looking for,
Right, no, for sure. And when there's an adjustment, then I'll look for the adjustment, and where it came from, where it's going.
It just depends month to month, doesn't it?
Is that identified in the executive summary? Those things?
Usually in Joy's notes.
Yeah, Joy will point out any.
Yeah, that's, most of the time, that's where I start.
And that monthly report from Joy is intended to identify those variations.
Mm-hmm.
One page. So you don't have to slog through, 82 pages or 17 pages of line item detail. And that's the intent.
Yeah, that'd be something we'd love to hear from you as you kind of see this new communication from Joy, if it's making it easier for you to get the answers that you're looking for. Any other questions? All right, well, let's look at the financial report. We've got their the wonderful spreadsheet, capital. Start there, it's the first link there. Any questions about that?
Oh, I know Lisa's got one.
I'm just trying to find it for you. Oh, it's easy. Just checking to see, I don't see it. Look on the back, on the end, the very bottom. This is one, Public Works, same, sorry, Tim.
Landscape trailer?
No.
Oh,
Glenn, there's no PO number, so.
PO had not been issued when I printed this. I'll check and I'll.
Checking, let's see the status.
We've
of it.
issued it now, haven't we?
Preliminary last week, week before last week.
So we'll be starting soon, hopefully. Okay.
And I'll
That's good
update
news.
with the PO.
That's really what I was wanting to know, when we're starting.
we got it about 2 weeks ago, we went out and, verified it, so we should be getting 100%.
Tim, is this something, a project that would be on the major project?
It's on there, yep.
Okay, so that question would be answered
Yeah, yeah.
with the major project.
Any other questions?
I see.
Is that something that we're gonna get an email?
Yep.
This form came out of this meeting,
Mm-hmm.
and it is a gem. It's a thing of beauty. That's it.
Agreed.
Thank you.
Any questions about the financial statement in general?
Will we have April tax numbers by next Tuesday? No, we won't. Will we? Just,
No,
it'll be April,
I'll have March numbers.
which we have already.
Well, that's February numbers. Because the sales tax is actually 2 months behind, like,
Okay.
we won't see our April numbers until June. I'll have March's numbers in the next couple of days. I'll send those to Treat and he can forward them to y'all.
But it looks like they're on this.
Well, they
Oh,
are,
they are, never
they
mind.
are, but it's actually February's revenue.
Okay.
All right. Again, thank you for your time, and, looking forward to sending you this first packet on Thursday. Would love to, look forward to hearing your feedback. Thanks, everybody.
Can I say something right quick?
Yeah.
I think whenever you have an entity, whether it's a city or whether it's a department, that has a lot of complicated pieces, you need these pieces we're talking about in place in order to keep up with it. If you don't, things fall through the cracks. And that may be one reason why our department heads will really like this, is it gives them a measure to be able to keep up with things. It's gonna help the city a lot if we can implement this.
Thank you, Mark. Also like the fact that it gives the residents a place to go look when they know that we followed up on
That's right.
stuff.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you.